Welcome everyone to another live stream. Unfortunately, as you see so many live streams, well, the first had broken audio, which I actually should double check now, not to rely on your tips in case it's broken, because it's year of desktop Linux. Certainly have your audio, just need to click on the monitoring button here. Yeah, just thought I wanted to pack my things into other stuff. Breaking news, security report, Linux, you name it. Netflix has identified several TCP networking vulnerabilities in FreeBSD and Linux kernels. What's this? Let's see, monitor output, check. Why do I have here no audio? Can't mix this up. Anyway, also helps not to plug it into line in though. Yep, then audio is good. Just can't sit with it because then the echo is irritating me. Yeah, CVE 2019-11-477, sec panic, Linux greater equal than 2629. Can't make this stuff up. This vulnerability relates to the minimum segment size, MSS and TCP selective acknowledgement capabilities. The most serious dubbed sec panic, also remote triggered kernel panic on recent Linux kernels. There are patches that address most of these vulnerabilities. If patches cannot be applied, certain mitigations will be effective. We recommend that affected parties enact one of those described below based on the environment. And yes, so workaround 1, by the way, how many CVEs? There's also some ASAC, so monolinic kernels, you have some kernel panic, your kernel is gone. Yep, so what is better than doing here live breaking news, entertaining the audience and updating here T2. Also, what are your remote automatic deployments? Do you have, wait a second, why do I have here, what happened with .10? Don't tell me they have June 15th, what day do we even have? 17th, why do I have here not a 10, or did I commit 10 somewhere else? Didn't even commit .10 yet, what? How could that happen? Or did we, maybe I had this here and I didn't commit this because of, sorry, 5.1.10. Yep, bonjour. Does it mean you're in France or French speaking like Canada or something? Or I should also stop my own video replay. So yeah, thanks for the note earlier, by the way. I don't know why this actually so, but the audio is always coming from the HDMI capture. I have no idea why the audio was broken. Didn't happen ever before, I think. At least not like this anyway, with 48 kilohertz. So then, yeah, Linux, more commits the better. 0.10 somehow not committed, probably because I usually on this data center server do not finish building the Linux kernel, because on the aging Xeon from yesteryear it takes 30 minutes or something, not like this 10 minutes of this Ryzen screamer here. Wait, okay, that is also good and great and most amazing and everything. So, but nonetheless, bonjour and bonsoir. By the way, we have bonsoir already. I guess, what time is it even? I think it's late enough for bonsoir. And then let's test compile this. Also, actually, no, let's we have here multiple. So let's not AVR. This is of course from our amazing 8-bit microcontroller for the Sun serial adapter dongle that we are still using here, because amazing keyboards. And yeah, so we have here screen, for those screen tmux for compile reference 64 job 5 Linux. So you see, we do not only make here streams complaining about Apple and PayPal, we also do here amazing real work like updating the Linux kernel. Yeah, we are soon, yeah, open source. The more you look, the more you find there. Unfortunately, the only thing I really wonder is, why do we still have such security vulnerabilities in 2019? You would think they have fixed them by now in the first 15 years of Linux until 2005, but apparently still. Yeah, I really should do microkernel, shouldn't I? Anyway, because I think I was so busy today, so much to what do we do here. We actually also do real work. I think I have not even compile tested the updates. I think I cut and pasted them, and again, yeah, we should also still automate this stuff. Automate, and we have the nightly tracker going through each day, 7 days a week, going through a seventh of all the packages. Except we have, I think, 2 exceptions, all packages starting with L and all packages starting with X we check every day. Why L and X? Because these are all the libraries like lib, jpeg, libtiff. So this is why alphabetically each day seventh, because we have also 3,500 something packages. And then, no, I've not really looked into Redux OS, but the Rust, I looked into the source, however. Let's just compile. Okay, we're compiling this already. I looked into the source in one of the live streams, maybe it was one of the IT news live streams, and the source was not the most impressive, as this probably was the Rust written, right? And what was not impressive, it looked a little bit too, actually we could take another live look just so. This, I need urgently also to start new builds, because why do I touch here some log files? I do not want that it T2 is trying to rebuild here some stuff that I already know will either build or break. glibc. This is here the cheap skates Linux distribution stuff of just touching some log files each and every other day. Why? Because this is because we did actually the work for LLVM sealing based systems with Musel, and this is why this would now build in the early stages for bootstrapping, and I just don't want a Linux header. This update I only have done locally. I don't want to commit this actually. Linux header, that was, I think that probably was for RISC-V, and because I think I probably should update the Linux header mostly also for RISC-V. The reason we do not update the Linux header so often is usually it breaks stuff, because, you know, random changes Linux kernel, they one left hand is doing something else than the right hand there, and then usually something breaks. What does usually breaks? Like stuff like video for Linux, joystick, like seriously 10 years ago, all the packages were broken that had joystick support, like SDL and games and whatnot. I mean, is it the most important? No, but it is also, this is, by the way, what did I do the last 20 years? Compiling each and every day, and usually if you update something like the glibc Linux header and stuff, then usually something broke, like Spark64 broke, then MIPS broke, then PowerPC broke, and then joystick broke, and then the next thing broke, and yeah, this is my life since 20 years that we know. Live stream on YouTube, because why not? Speaking about Redux, we could take a look there. What I've seen was not the most amazing in that regard, that Redux, right? OS, and in the terms of that, the drivers that I found there, no, Redux, I've written this correctly. So what was not amazing, let's see, do I find the drivers? Full feature, something. I mean, maybe if we run it for just a test, we need to, as this was already the same thing the last time, I didn't find the drivers instantly. So drivers, so where are the drivers in 10 years, Rust? Where would the drivers be? The last time I didn't, so bootloader, Docker. Because I remember the last time I didn't find the drivers. Somehow I eventually found them. Where would that be? Summer of code. Come on, where are the drivers? And probably on my own YouTube live stream I will find them then. You need my own live streams for finding, here drivers. Here drivers, you see. It's not the most easy to find the sub-project. And so the last time I looked here, for example, I just clicked maybe on the first one, and AirCargo, amazing stuff that we are the greatest fans of. And I mean, one thing is, it is super small and simple. The only thing is this, so in a way, this is, I mean, there you see how can you do this in a way. I mean, let's check if we are actually live streaming the right picture here. So this is also in a little bit in a way how I might do it a little bit, because there you see how amazing this is. Imagine all your drivers like Linux modules here, like in this Redux. This is of course a main function, so this like could kind of sort of maybe run like a normal user space application. And this is actually a good thing. And imagine, and this is also why I want to continue with this, just between PayPal and Apple and time and Linux security vulnerabilities. And so in one thing, this is totally amazing for driver development. You bootstrap something, you prototype something, you have like a normal program. Like imagine how amazing is this? You write a graphic driver, sound driver, or an embedded driver for your I/O control card, and you start a program like this, int main or whatever, fn main, let something args be something, and also for prototyping, right? Drivers like a normal user space program. And you know what? In the meantime, I don't care 2 cents of whatever about performance. Let this be 20% slower. At least it's nicer to develop and more secure. And maybe you can even make it similar or faster performance with more amazing algorithms that you can easier develop in this kind of user space scenario. So the thing that was not amazing is, from what I understand here, is that this, by the way, need to manually supply a IRQ, maybe, whatever. So they have here socket, so this certainly is not the most high performance, and this is a little bit disappointing. I would expect it from this would not have even been how I've done this, except maybe if this is their design decision to make everything socket. But so this certainly is not the highest performance with socket everything. It's a little bit like the X11 of windowing protocol over sockets or something, which performance is already not the greatest. And in other words, it is of course interesting in that it is small and compact, but I have the feeling you see here scheme handle something, this scheme new, but this is only the main. Here's some scheme something, and so this scheme and whatever seek. In a way, this is sort of, but maybe leave in the comments below or right now live here. Do you find Rust readable in their syntax? Of course, even I'm not the greatest Rust expert, of course I can like deduce and guess like mostly what this is doing, just that I'm not the very greatest fan of the syntax, to be honest. But leave me in the comments below, how do you like Rust syntax? And again, Rust as it, with memory and type safety, total fan of it. I'm just not a fan of the surrounding cargo microdependency infrastructure, right? Not that people think I hate. No, I don't hate Rust. Rust as it would be amazing, would be so much more amazing without the forced cargo microdependency hell. And then let's see, do we find the actual drivers? So here are real stuff. Let's see how. Yeah, so with this modules you have a couple of more DMA 0 something whatever disk ATA. So yeah, the socket based stuff very specific. Here's this fizz. Let's see, this is a real hardware, but I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, in a way it is not so bad. The syntax here with this struct fizzdata, U8, and so on. So how many are this even? This is just one U8, and this are two, probably array of 2 and 400. So in a way, this is actually pretty interesting, just that with the socket stuff and such, and there you see the difference. It is quite readable actually, in my opinion, just that socket and yeah, but there you see also why I'm so interested in writing my own microkernel, just for the sake. And I have made already the sketches. You can watch my crazy microkernel idea systems, and why I would like to experiment with this. And I would not do this with socket. I would do this more directly page message mailbox mapping, something. Need to still think about the details. I would want to go there with message parsing or mailbox memory mapped IO something. But why do I tinker with this vintage graphics? Because one of those prototypes I would really love to see how much performance I can get. And this, I can't prototype this with latest NVIDIA or AMD, where NVIDIA has no specs and AMD has some specs. But in any case, the cards are so super complex, then I rather, yes, of course, in the end, you would want to have AMD Radeon support. But as a first step, prototyping just with some textured triangles, there's some Verge and Voodoo is enough to learn, also educate you how to do low-level bare metal programming, and for me to experiment with with a microkernel setup, so that you would still get good and amazing graphic performance, even if it's just a textured triangle demo in the end. Then later, for the latest and greatest, vertex shaders and whatnot, GPU, this would then only be a similar setup, just everything more complex. This is why I would want to do this. Anyway, a little bit, this was just questions from my audience, not the worst thing, and totally open also a haiku and such, just for the stability and security and such. I would in the long term. And so you see, security and stability, right? Can't make this stuff up. This is here live on YouTube, all the latest and greatest live calling on YouTube. And then, of course, committing this, this looks like it should probably, this is compiling the same here. So what I usually this compiles, of course. Then what I actually usually do when I want to get this to other systems, I just commit this without having fully tested this on the data center, on the builder here, var ADM logs. This is for sure as long as we are talking already, which is by the way amazing. And that so many people, yeah, so this is compiling what I usually check. And we talked long enough because that all of this applies. We have a handful of patches, not too many in T2, but just a handful. So that is a official vanilla patch level there, and then our T2 patches. And yeah, so then certainly already can commit this. And just for the fun of it, we can actually add the CVE mark. How many CVE do we have here? Or none? Don't tell me they, I thought they have here already. Don't tell me they released the Linux kernel and this CVE is not yet. Oh wait, this is 10. That's so much to that. Oh yeah, here this is TCP MSS hard-coded to what? Hard-coded to 48? What's anyway. Let's commit this. And again, so the structure defines looks actually quite readable in this Redux, just performance-wise, everything socket a little bit, yeah, whatever. But this would also be my goal, to keep all the drivers like serial ATE, NVMe and such, like small readable components. And very theoretically, what I would really like to do for the educational purposes is to have those drivers also working freestanding without this microkernel, so that maybe even with Linux Q, that with the VFIO user space PCI mapping, that you could test and run those drivers either compiled for Linux user space stuff for testing and fun and whatnot, for bare metal, DOS, vintage retro graphics demos and testing and whatnot, and microkernel with just the right interrupt, PCI abstraction, memory allocation and whatnot would be fun stuff to make it universal and small and beautiful and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm surprised that this compiled so fast. What else? So again, over 300 changes here. Let's see actually who is apparently compiled here. That is probably just right now. Who is here? You see I've not even done the commits today, just some updates every day. Yeah, live, don't really need to update this live stuff each and every day, but actually usually this live is some multimedia, whatever. Usually I wait some weeks, because I also do not need to, just for the sake of it, for the pure commit count, do not need to have all of those. AirBubble was today, this is a GIMP, GPU, OpenGL, Vulkan something abstraction there. So yeah, that compiled as well. As you see, quite automated in T2. And the next step, I'm thinking, I said this already even on YouTube 5 times or 10 times now, I'm thinking about this for 10 years already. I should have really done it. Recurring theme here, automate as early as possible, as often, quickly as possible, and so on. Everything that you automate. What do I mean with automate? We have already the automated nightly tracker here, but it's only sending an email. The next step would of course be the next logical step to actually test compile this, like continuous integration, like on GitHub there's this CL stuff and whatnot, so that the automatic tracker in a sandbox, in a virtual machine or whatever, is already like this Babel and Linux kernel and stuff. And if the update with the numbers is not a release candidate alpha, if the number looks release enough, test compiles this, and if it test compiles here in T2, just auto updates this would be amazing. Then I have even more time for more amazing stuff. And yeah, let's see if we have more questions in the audience, but otherwise, Yes, we have questions, audience. I would love to learn low-level programming. I've only done high-level stuff, Java and Node.js. Yeah, so this is why I have done the DOS vintage videos with the graphic card stuff. We have done some trickery there, and then otherwise with Unreal is protected mode pointer trickery and such. Sound Blaster, Verge, Voodoo, and maybe if the rendition Verity ever arrives here, also that, and then more stuff. Why have I done this in DOS? Of course, I hated DOS. I've not when I was in school, but since then 20 years I hated DOS and Windows. I've of course not used DOS at all for 25 years or something. But then when I saw this, one had a blog post of doing modern GCC cross-compiling on Linux for DOS. Only 64K COM executables, but fine enough for small bare metal demos that I found intriguing and wanted to try this out with real. He only had unaccelerated VGA memory writes, and I wanted to do the 3D stuff, the Sound Blaster stuff, and see real DMA interrupts. And I just wanted to take this to the next level, and for my fun and your education. And we certainly, the Voodoo works. Voodoo mode setting works. We have done the video, 3DFX Voodoo of course, and 2D BitBLT on the Voodoo 2. What I want to continue is triangles. I have not yet really finished because time and money and other stuff, but this is just setting the right registers, should then just work. And then rendition Verity, if it arrives, hopefully eventually we'll do this just for the fun of it, and then we will continue with more serious stuff, maybe the RME Hammerfall, the 8-channel edit card on DOS just for the fun of it, and then microkernel interrupts, context switching, user space processes, message passing, a small network stack and such, and just step by step over. But that is the fun stuff in between. Otherwise, need to earn real money. We have done this, and also maybe leave it in the comments. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for all the educational content. We will for sure continue this, even if we sometimes need to shout out on crap that Apple and PayPal are doing. And again, because we want also with this Linux stuff. Yes, by the way, how large is this even? Yes, this is they see this. This is so small. Oh, this is more than one CVE. Actually, here's another one. And bug on TCP limit payload. Yeah, so this is apparently mostly 5.1.11 pure networking, CVE, remote triggerable panics and whatnot hotfixes here, live on YouTube. And don't forget to leave in the comments below also, if you do Linux stuff, administration stuff, do you have means to automatically deploy this? Do you rely on apt-get auto install something? What are your procedures for remote maintenance, automatics, and configuration, deployment, and whatnot? And in the meantime, anyway, hope you learned something. Thanks for tuning in. Comments in terms when UBI becomes a thing. I will do level programming 24. What do you mean with UBI? Level programming 24/7. What do you mean with that? Always a thing. Comments in the audience, and I need to Google what they even mean. Not sure. What do you mean? Hardware. So I have no idea. Hardware online. I have no idea. Best avoid abbreviations that I actually have an idea what, and a deer and clue and anything. So the rest of this is mostly like actually bin utils. What was there? Some things are either mutual ceiling enable. Yeah, actually I think this does not have an effect. I think some Gen 2 user of you made a comment about LTO link time optimization. I think this didn't have any effect. I only wanted to try it. I think this was nothing. We can probably revert this. One of my 300 changes here on the data center. Universal basic. Also this is why we had this already on the end of one live stream. We should probably discuss this another thing, because I wanted to share more positive live idea stuff, and I said this on another IT bits news tonight thing in 1 or 2, 3 months ago, in like the 3rd, 4th or 5th or so of those in February or March or something. And yeah, initially I didn't support this, but then after thinking when this was a topic in Germany or something 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, but after thinking about this for a week, I also totally support this, especially for our case of not earning money with open source stuff. For so much I've done for 2 decades. Even it took me a week to think about this. First I naturally said, yeah, this is not really fair and nice to give money to people who might not even be very interested to work. But after thinking about this for a week, I even came to the conclusion it is amazing. Please do it all over the world. UK, Germany, US, they also deserve something there, and everywhere you name it. Because but this stream otherwise gets too long, but why not 3 more minutes of political agenda pushing here? Because even for me doing here this educational YouTube stuff, of course, I said this again, right now is total loss business with $3 a day on top of all the 20 years of work on open source and Linux. And this is why even as a managing director of my own company that is relatively successful still enough, otherwise I couldn't afford to do all the open source and YouTube live streaming here in between and buy here all the fancy gear on company purchases here for certainly amazing Racer, Thunderbolt stuff and such, because we certainly need this on the Mac side for Mac products development stuff. And there you see how fair this is. Doing YouTube videos, even for YouTube educational stuff, basic income would be amazing even for myself. Then I could even write a microkernel, and all the students, when I was a student a couple of decade ago and such, did all the Linux work. In retrospect, it would have been fair. Students working on open source, why not give them basic income? Well, basically give everyone basic income, right? Because they might be a musician, not yet successful, the next Taylor Swift or whoever at Sheridan and stuff. And yeah, why not? Also, I read studies that even in Germany, for example, we have so many stuff like unemployment support, child support, and university support, and children without parent support, and all this other social stuff. And I think I read that the management overhead for that is so enormous that I think someone made a study and basically claimed that everyone could just get basic income already for just what all the existing systems for everything from unemployment to child and university and everything already costs. So bring it forward. And certainly, yeah, with that means it would cost like 10,000 jobs in administration of the social services. But hey, maybe they have something more amazing to do than when they get basic income themselves and they finally don't need to do a boring paper movement jobs there in administration, but finally can do their art projects, their music projects. Maybe some of them even work in open source, you name it. And possibilities are endless. And yeah, also super fair. Everyone gets basic income, and those people who do amazing stuff, from music to whatnot to ecologically friendly pullovers and whatnot, amazing stuff you can do to open source and everything else, educational content on YouTube or whatnot, everything you just get. Additionally, the more amazing stuff you do, the more you get. Totally fair stuff in my opinion. Even, you know, students getting basic income for working on KDE, GNOME, Linux kernel, Xorg, Wayland, whatnot, and so on. One of the 10,000, if not 100,000, Rust, Cargo, even those. Yeah, if they get basic income, and then on top maybe they do amazing projects and they get amazing additional stuff, why not? And yeah, other people in the audience can't wait for that. So yeah, give it a thumbs up if you support it. Leave in the comments below what you think about your Linux deployment stuff, microkernel, and even if you wanted to universal basic income. And I hope you learned something. We have more stuff to do. You see, phone was ringing, Linux kernel updates to deploy, and other stuff. And so, thanks for all the live streams, really many live streams. Leave me in the comments below also if we should live stream more or less, or more produced videos also. Noise pollution here on the street, and people need help, and Finland, it has been tried in Finland. And no, I think this, if you mean there was a village, and I think the people were more happy. I wouldn't then please quote the study, because one study I found source scrolling by that people were significantly more happy, and why not? Even if the job situation and whatsoever is the same, if people are well, it costs the government the same money and people are significantly happy. This is already one benefit, right? Basic income. Also, suicide rates allegedly increase in the States and wherever, Europe and whatnot. And anyway, here's, for example, won't make people work less. 2-year universal in Finland concludes that 2017 those who receive worked the same amount, and there you see those people who in the first live stream said, yeah, if people get free money they do nothing. Well, it's basic income, right? So often people want more than basic, and no thanks. Random selected people received some money from the government. The basic income experiment run la yada yada. Now preliminary results. Study did find some difference between groups since the trial group unemployment benefits, for instance, control group ended up receiving less social assistance and sickness allowance. Salary a bad sign. Being guaranteed income seems to make people less worried about money, means less stress and healthier lives. Yeah, which is what I said. Those test group experience significantly fewer problems related to health. Yeah, and again, is it not an amazing income? You don't tell me it didn't. What was it didn't work? It's like, wait, what did not work? If the test group experienced significantly fewer problems related to health, stress, ability to concentrate than those in the control group concludes, and yeah. But anyway, and also with automation, right? For those who are against basic income today, might be for basic income in 10 years to come, when automation replaced even more jobs and more robots assemble cars and products and whatnot. Won't be an option. Need to do automation will take over a million. Yeah, exactly. Exactly that plus all the other and yeah, stuff like that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you learned something. Leave all the comments below as usual. Like, share, and subscribe. And I hope to see you soon for all the amazing security vulnerabilities to come.